We're going to pick up where we left off. You can see that my image has been opened in Photoshop. The background is unlocked because I've double clicked on it, or I've clicked the unlock button. And now what I'm ready to do is to start editing this image for this project. The first thing that you want to do is to isolate the main part of the image, or just the object itself, so that we can have that object on a blank background eventually. You can see that the image that I chose has the main peony flower in the middle, a couple of leaves, and then it has a lot of leaves in the background. I don't really need those for this project, so basically all I want to do is retain this part of the flower for the project. So what I want to do is get rid of all this stuff. There's a lot of ways that you can do this, so I'll walk you through a few different steps. One of the most basic things that you can do is to use the eraser. So if you look at your toolbar here, you'll see that there's an eraser right down the way. Keep in mind that maybe your toolbar might look like this. It doesn't really matter, it's just a preference as to how you want that to look, but you can change that by clicking these arrows. So if your toolbar happens to look any different, that might be why. So first what I'm going to do is click on the eraser tool, and I'm going to come over to my image. You can see here that this circle represents the size of the eraser. That's a pretty big eraser. That might be great though, because I can go ahead and just erase out the parts that I don't want to include in the image. It's a pretty rough way to get rid of things, but it works. What you'll notice is while I'm erasing, this kind of gray and white checkerboard shows up in the background. In Photoshop, that just means that it's transparent. Basically, it's clear. There's nothing there. So whenever you see that checkerboard, don't worry that it's something that will show up. It just means that it's transparent. So I can go ahead and erase as much as I want with that eraser tool. And that's a perfectly fine way to get rid of a good amount of stuff while you're working. You can change the size of the eraser up at the top here and make it smaller or larger. A shortcut for that also is that if you look down at your keyboard next to the letter P, you'll see that there are bracket keys. The bracket key on the right makes the brush larger, and on the left makes it smaller. So I can just continue to erase to get rid of all of that stuff if I want to. Under the eraser tool, there are some other tools that are nested there. In Photoshop, anytime that you see this little corner arrow with a tool, it means that there are other tools kind of hidden with that tool. So if you hold down the mouse, you'll see that I've got the background eraser, the magic eraser, and this eraser too. These all do a little bit of a different thing, and you can work with different eraser tools to kind of see which one works best for you to get rid of the parts that you don't want of the image. If I use the background eraser, for instance, you'll see I have this little crosshair. I'm going to increase it by hitting the bracket key. And if I place that crosshair right to the outside of the flower and kind of drag it around, you'll see that it kind of guesses what to get rid of and erases the parts of the green that are right next to the flower. So that works pretty well. So the eraser tool might be a great tool for you to use to get rid of a lot of the parts of the image that you don't want. In the next video, I'll show you the selection tools, and those will help you get a more refined area selected in order to get into these finer areas where things aren't as easy as they are on the outsides of the image.